In the year 2147, humanity had spread its tendrils across the stars, colonizing distant worlds and forging uneasy alliances with alien species. The galaxy was a tapestry of wonders and horrors, where advanced technology intertwined with ancient instincts. On the fringe planet of Zorith, 9, a barren rock orbiting a dying red dwarf, the United Earth Federation had established Outpost Epsilon. It was a fortress of steel and plasma shields, perched on jagged cliffs overlooking vast canyons filled with toxic mists. Here, humans coexisted with the Lupari, a nomadic, pack-based species resembling oversized wolves with iridescent fur and razor-sharp claws. The Lupari were fierce warriors, evolved from predators on their homeworld, where survival demanded the suppression of all emotion. To them, memories of the fallen were chains that bound the living, making them hesitant and weak. Cubs, young Lupari not yet hardened by battle, were taught to sever ties to the past, or risk being cast out as liabilities. Captain Alara Voss was one of the few humans stationed at Epsilon. At 42, she was a veteran of the Orion Wars, her face etched with scars from plasma burns and her mind haunted by ghosts. She had lost her entire squad on Vega Prime, including her brother, Marcus, whose final words echoed in her neural implant. "Keep fighting, sis. For us." Alara's implant, a standard-issue human augmentation device, had allowed her to relive memories in vivid detail, turning grief into fuel. It was this very technology that fascinated and repulsed the Lupari. To them, humans were soft, sentimental creatures who clung to the dead like anchors in a storm. One stormy evening, as Zorith 9's dual moons cast eerie shadows over the outpost, Alara patrolled the perimeter. The winds howled through the canyons, carrying the acrid scent of sulfur vents. Her exosuit hummed softly, its HUD displaying environmental data. Radiation levels nominal, oxygen at 18%. She spotted a lone figure stumbling through the mist, a Lupari cub, no older than adolescence in human terms, its fur matted with blood and grime. The cub's eyes, glowing amber in the dim light, widened in fear as it collapsed at her feet. Alara knelt, her gloved hand hovering cautiously. "Easy there, little one. I'm not here to hurt you." The cub growled weakly, baring fangs that could shred durasteel. Through her translator implant, she understood its snarls. "Human intruder, leave me to die." She ignored the warning and scanned it with her medkit. Fractured ribs, internal bleeding, wounds from a recent skirmish. The Lupari packs often clashed with rogue pirate factions scavenging the planet's rare minerals. This cub had likely been separated from its pack during an ambush. Alara hoisted it onto her shoulder, ignoring its protests, and carried it back to the outpost's medbay. Inside the sterile room, under the harsh glow of biolamps, Alara worked methodically. She administered nanites to knit the wounds and sedatives to ease the pain. The cub, whom she learned was named Kale, stirred after hours of treatment. Kale's fur shimmered blue-green, a sign of youth among the Lupari. "Why save me?" he rasped, his voice a low rumble. "I am broken. My pack is gone, slaughtered by the Sky Raiders. Memories cling to me like thorns. They make me weak." A true Lupari forgets and fights on. Alara paused, her eyes distant. "Forgets? That's not how it works for us humans. Memories are what keep us going." She tapped her temple, where the HUD implant glowed faintly. "I carry my loved ones here. They don't weigh me down, they lift me up." Kale snarled in disgust. "Foolish human sentiment. In my pack, the elders teach, the memory of loved ones makes the cub weak. To survive, we must be stone, unyielding, without cracks." Alara smiled faintly. "Maybe your elders are wrong. Let me show you." Over the next weeks, as Kale recovered in the outpost's isolation wing, Alara visited daily. The outpost buzzed with activity. Engineers repairing shield generators, scientists analyzing mineral samples, and Lupari allies negotiating resource trades. But in that quiet room, a bond formed. Alara shared stories of Earth, of oceans and forests long since scarred by climate wars. She described her brother Marcus, how his laughter echoed in her dreams, how reliving his final battle through her implant had honed her tactics, turning loss into lethal precision. Kale listened reluctantly at first, his ears flattening in skepticism. Lupri culture revered the hunt, the kill, the unemotional pursuit of strength. Cubs like him were raised in communal dens, where weakness was cold. Kale's pack had been ambushed by the Void Pirates, a ruthless band of cybernetic marauders who plundered fringe worlds. He had watched his mother, the Alpha, torn apart by laser fire. The memory replayed in his mind, her fierce roar turning to a whimper, her eyes locking on his as life faded. It paralyzed him, made his claws tremble during training simulations Alara set up. One day, during a holographic sparring session, Kale froze mid-strike. The sim projected a pirate drone, its red eyes gleaming. I see her again, he admitted, collapsing. The pain, it dulls my edge. Alara deactivated the sim and sat beside him. That's where you're wrong, Kale. Pain isn't a duller, it's a sharpener. She activated her HUD, projecting a holographic memory into the air. It showed Vega Prime, chaos of battle, explosions blooming like deadly flowers. Marcus, her mirror image with the same determined jaw, charged forward. Cover me, Alara, he shouted. Then, a plasma bolt struck him down. The hollow froze on his face, peaceful in death. Kale averted his gaze. Why torture yourself with this? Because it reminds me why I fight, Alara replied. Humans have this thing called empathy. It's not weakness, it's a weapon. When I remember Marcus, I fight smarter, harder. For him, for all of us. Intrigued despite himself, Kale asked more questions. Alara explained human history, how memories of atrocities like the World Wars had forged peace treaties, how personal losses drove inventions like the HUD, which not only stored memories but amplified neural responses, turning grief into enhanced reflexes. Imagine if you could weaponize your mother's memory, she said. Let it fuel your strikes, not hinder them. Kale pondered this. In Lupri lore, the Great Forgetting was a rite where elders used neural suppressants to erase traumatic memories from cubs. Kale was due for it upon returning to a new pack, but now doubt crept in. Your way is alien, he muttered. But show me more. As Zorath 9's seasons shifted, from acid rains to blistering heats, Kale grew stronger. Alara trained him in human combat techniques, evasion maneuvers, energy weapon handling. She even modified a spare exosuit for his quadrupedal form, its servos whining as he practiced leaps. But the real progress came in the mind. Alara shared her HUD interface, linking it temporarily to Kale via a bioadapter. For the first time, he experienced controlled memory recall, not as overwhelming floods, but as focused streams. In one session, Kale relived his mother's death. Through the HUD's filters, he saw not just the horror, but her bravery, how she positioned herself to shield him, buying time for his escape. She fought for me, he whispered, eyes widening. Her memory, it's not a chain. It's a claw. Alara nodded. Exactly. The memory of loved ones doesn't make this cub weak. It is their weapon. Word of their unorthodox training spread through the outpost. Some humans approved, seeing it as cultural exchange. Others worried it violated the Federation's non-interference protocols with allies. The Lupri elders, grizzled warriors with scars like maps of battles, visited once. Their leader, Elder Thorn, a massive black-furred beast, eyed Alara suspiciously. Human, you poison the cub's mind with your frailty. He must forget, or he will perish in the wilds. Alara stood firm. With respect, Elder, perhaps it's time to evolve. The galaxy is changing. Pirates don't fight fair, they use tech, strategy. Memories can be part of that. Thorn growled but left, muttering about human arrogance. Kale, watching from the shadows, felt a spark of defiance. For the first time, he didn't fear his past. The middle of their journey came with rising tensions. Scout drones reported increased Void pirate activity. The pirates, led by the infamous Captain Zorg, a cyborg with a fleet of stealth ships, targeted Zorath 9's iridium deposits, key for hyperdrive tech. Rumors whispered of an impending raid on Outpost Epsilon itself. Alara and Kale intensified training. They ventured into the canyons, where toxic mists tested their suits. Kale, now agile in his modified exosuit, leaped across chasms with grace. But doubts lingered. During a mock ambush, simulated pirates overwhelmed him. "I hesitated again," he admitted later. The memory surged, Mother's eyes pleading. Alara placed a hand on his flank. "Channel it. Let it ignite your fury." She shared another memory, her own hesitation on Vega, how it cost lives, and how embracing it turned her into a legend among survivors. Inspired, Kale experimented. In the next sim, when the memory hit, he roared, not in pain, but power. His claws extended, slashing through holograms with unprecedented speed. The HAD link registered a 20% boost in his neural activity. "It works," he panted. "Her strength flows through me." Their bond deepened. Alara confided her fears that had sometimes overwhelmed her, blurring lines between past and present. "But I'd rather feel it all than nothing," she said. Kale, in turn, shared loopery tales of ancient hunts where packs triumphed through unity, not isolation. Perhaps, he mused, memories were the ultimate unity, binding the living to the dead. As the pirate threat loomed, the outpost prepared defenses, plasma turrets charged, shields reinforced. Kale, now fully healed, faced a choice: rejoin a loopery pack or stay. "I choose to fight with you," he declared. "As a friend." Alara smiled. "Then let's make your mother's memory proud." The climax erupted on a fateful night. Alarms blared as pirate ships decloaked in orbit, raining drop pods onto the outpost. Void pirates, hulking figures in armored suits, augmented with tentacles and laser eyes, stormed the perimeter. Blasts shook the ground, crumbling walls. Alara and Kale fought side by side. She wielded her pulse rifle, picking off invaders with precision honed by memories. Kale charged, his exosuit amplifying his natural prowess. But the pirates outnumbered them. Captain Zorg himself led the assault, a towering monstrosity with glowing red implants. "Surrender the iridium, fleshlings," he boomed. In the chaos, Kale was separated. Cornered in a canyon by Zorg's elite guards, he felt the old paralysis creep in. Memories flooded, his pack's slaughter, his mother's fall. But this time he embraced them. "For you, Mother," he growled. The HAD link, still active from training, surged. His vision sharpened, instincts fused with recalled tactics, his mother's feints, her roars that disoriented foes. With a primal howl, Kale leaped. His claws raked through armor, memories fueling each strike. He dodged lasers as if anticipating them, reliving battles through his augmented mind. One guard fell, then another. Zorg turned, firing an energy beam. Kale rolled, the memory of his mother's shield inspiring a counterattack. He pounced, sinking fangs into Zorg's cybernetic arm, ripping it free. Alara arrived, blasting reinforcements. Together, they drove Zorg back. The pirate captain, wounded, signaled retreat. Ships lifted off, leaving smoldering ruins. In the aftermath, as medics tended wounds and engineers rebuilt, Elder Thorn approached. "Cub, you fought like a legend."
"But how?"
"You should have been weakened." Kale stood tall. "The human taught me. The memory of loved ones doesn't make this cub weak. It is their weapon." Thorn pondered, then nodded slowly. "Perhaps there is wisdom in the stars beyond our ways." Alara watched, pride swelling. Kale had transformed, not just survived, but thrived. As the dual moons rose, she whispered to her implant, "We did it, Marcus." Years later, Kale became an alpha, leading a new pack that integrated human tech with loopery tradition. Memories were no longer erased but honored, turning packs into unbreakable forces. Alara, promoted to admiral, spread the tale across the Federation, how a human and a cub bridged worlds, proving that in the vast cosmos, strength came not from forgetting, but remembering. And so, on Zorith, 9 and beyond, the phrase echoed, The memory of loved ones doesn't make this cub weak. It is their weapon, the human said.